All right, here we go. We are recording. So I am really grateful to have the opportunity to join you today for a great KWU classic, and it is called Time Management with the 411. If you've ever taken this class before, wave at me. All right, good. So you guys can help me teach it, okay? Michael's given us a thumbs down. Well, no worries. We will get you caught up to speed today. It's like many things in business, it's very simple. Success is very simple. It's just not easy, okay? So we're going to be talking today about time management with the 411. This is admittedly a full day course. So what I have done is I've pulled out the most important nuggets for you to take away, okay? I did not have you access the student materials only because if you're anything like me, I'm looking at them, well, they didn't talk about that. They're not covering this. Why are we on this page? And it's just too much, okay? So the pieces that we're going to talk about today are really the 411, time blocking, and goal setting, okay? You don't need a 50-page handout to follow along with that, okay? Yet I am going to ask for you to have a notepad, a pen, and a journal. This is going to be different than some of the Zoom trainings you've done recently. How many of you have turned on a Zoom training with good intentions, muted yourself, and closed out the screen and checked email for 2 hours? It's truth serum time. Wave at me. Okay, good. Half of you are being honest. And the other half is now like, oh, shoot, I got to take my video off.
You did not do that on my trainings.
I'm sure they never did.
No, not on my trainings.
No, they have never. Sandy, they would never do that. Only on mine, okay? So I am going to ask that today, and listen, I have a 6-month-old Labrador sleeping at my feet. I have 3 teenage boys, 2 of them prepubescent, and so they get into a fist fight at least once a day right outside my door. You are not going to distract me. It is going to be great. Here's what we are not going to do because it's no fun. A 2-hour monologue of the instructor. This is very engaging. There's lots of questions where I'm going to say unmute and interact at this point so that you can really take a lot out of this. All right, give me a thumbs up if you're in agreement with that format.
Okay.
Okay, super. So let's talk about this whole entire course. I like to think big and then get into the weeds. So a top mega agent, do you think they have a pretty structured day? Thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, or thumbs down? Yeah, you got it, okay? Top agents really own this process of, it's 3 parts. You may want to jot it down. Of goal setting, big, big goals. From the big, big goals, and this is the whole outline of what we're going to talk about today. From there, they then move to this thing called a 411. And a 411 is really, what am I doing this month and this week to make what I say I'm going to do this year actually happen, okay? And then the third thing is they take it from the 411 and they actually put it on their calendar. That took me 6 months to figure out, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
I would do a beautiful 411 plan for my week, and then I would not block time for anything on there, and guess what happened? Nothing.
Nada.
Nada. So a little bit, I know many of the faces on the screen, and yet for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to share right now why I have to use a 411 and live by it, okay? So here's my world. Please don't be overwhelmed, because if you react, then that might creep into my mind as well, okay? First and foremost, I am a wife and a mom to 4 kids, 4, 11 and under.
11 and under.
Yes, 11 and under. So I've also been a homeschool teacher as of recent. Yeah, school's out for the summer, thank goodness. And my husband and I run a real estate team that sells over 100 homes every single year. We own a title company in Tampa. I am a MAPS Bold coach and a KWU instructor. Am I missing something? Nope, that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, and investment property owner. I was like, no, there's another part of my wheel that's missing. And we also own vacation rentals, and we manage them ourselves. So, do you think I have to be pretty strict with how I spend my time?
That's not enough. You're not doing enough.
I know, I'm a slacker. I really got to get on it. And yet, here's the piece. You can have multiple streams of income, be a great family person, you know, attack the dreams that you really desire when you master your time. Until you master you and your time, all of that is fleeting, okay, or far away. So let's talk about, and I'm going to pull open our PowerPoint because I have a really funny slide. Hold on one second. Okay, so forgive me.
I don't know if it goes on.
All right. So you guys tell me when you can see the PowerPoint.
Yes.
This has a spreadsheet, this sheet,
You guys are seeing a spreadsheet right now?
the 411 plan.
Oh, yes. So I put that in the chat box Angela did. That's something that we will hit in a little bit. Right now, we're just going to follow along with the slideshow, okay? All right, can you guys, do you see the presenter view or do you see the actual show slides?
Presenter.
Presenter.
Oh, no, we don't want that. Hold on. Stop sharing. All right. Why is it doing that? Are you guys okay with presenter view?
Yeah.
We can present with you.
Okay, well,
Sure.
because I don't know how to change it. It's showing up on my other screen, so forgive me. All right, so let's talk about this question on the slide. I always love to start the class out with a little bit of fun. I've already told you to download the 411. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. Yet, if your worst time management habit came to life, so think about your time management flaws, came to life as a movie villain, who would it be? And it can be fictional or one that already exists.
Your worst time management habit came from life. What would it be? Me.
I love it. Or captain looks busy, gets nothing done.
Yes.
Has anyone ever worn that cape?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a bold law that says don't mistake movement for achievement. And that's really the essence of today. How many of you put in at least 40 hours a week? Raise your hand.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like minimum of 40 hours a week. And yet, do you ever think, what in the world did I actually get done this week? Oftentimes. Well, that's what today is all about, is how to make the most of our time. So here's the overview. Here's the roadmap of where we're going to go. Okay, the first one we're going to start with is taking control. Okay, gaining perspective of time. Okay, it's not time management. You may want to write this down. It's not time management. It is self-management. When you have the discipline to manage yourself, time will fall into place. If you agree with that, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. So we're going to start with the mindset piece first. Then the second thing is we're going to talk about creating goals. Big, hairy, audacious, life-changing goals, and the process in which you do that. And I'm going to share with you guys straight from my examples of each of these, so hopefully you can learn from that. Learn oftentimes what not to do. God bless you, whoever that was.
Thank you.
And then, have you guys seen the funny meme where the person sneezes and then their eyes get real big and says, "Is that you, Rona?" All right. I couldn't see whose face it was, so no judgment. All right, then we're going to talk about creating the 411. So that's step number one. And then the next piece of that is, what's the key word in part 4?
Implementation, getting it done.
Yeah, which one do you think is easier, number 3 or 4?
3.
4.
3 is much easier. I mean,
Yes.
I can write a really pretty 411, or I can write down a great diet plan. And then those Oreos and milk around 10 o'clock at night, I mean, they just look so good. So we're going to talk about what actually puts legs on and makes your 411 happen so that it's not just a sheet of paper, okay? All right, so here's where I would love an open forum, because I'm just pulling out the bits and the pieces, the most important. And so we have some flexibility with time today. What would you like to see yourself take from the course today? Basically, why'd you show up? And I'm going to jot them down so we get it.
To learn to create a 411.
All right, so Scott's saying, I just need the basics. Show me how to do it.
Yeah, same, Amber. This is June Connell. I've seen it done, but nobody's ever really kind of walked me through the tried and true method for how to get this to work. And I feel like it's a big missing piece in my world. So, yeah.
You got it. We will do that. The bits and pieces, I'll share with you an example of mine, and then I'm going to ask that you actually fill one in before our time's over. Okay?
Thank you.
What else?
What time management, time blocking?
All right, we're going to hit that, Jenny.
Time blocking and time management for me, I'm new, and so I find myself just kind of hovering and floating and being like, you know, ooh, squirrel, and like you said, working a ton of hours, but just not really getting anywhere with it. And I think the time blocking and the time management will help me like set those mini goals to get done throughout the day.
Good. If you agree with Brianna's statement, or you've ever thought that, say yes, me too.
Yes.
Me too.
You got it. This is a good self-help group. You're in the right place, okay? What else? Is there anything else that you think before we end this time together today, I've got to get this?
Trying to prioritize my time, defrag my day without getting in trouble by Sandy.
Oh, I like it. She's ruthless.
No, terrible. Hey, look, so this is my 411, and it fell off the second week of February, and I haven't done one since. So here I am, right? I mean, I get it, yet I don't. Yeah, so putting it on the schedule and then being consistent about it is my thing, right? So I'm just doing it to put it to paper because I'm supposed to, but not getting the implementation and the action steps around it. So Michael, I will be accountable with you on this because I have so much room for growth.
You got it. And that is oftentimes when we talk about doing a GPS or a 135, the annual plan, so many of us do it to check off the box. And really, not to be blunt yet, that's just a waste of 2 or 3 days. And the 411 is the same. And you're not going to keep doing it, Sandy, if it doesn't actually guide your actions in your life. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to talk through the journey. This is where the 411 journey started for me. We had a MAPS coach, Elizabeth, and Elizabeth Curry is her name. And we got in, and I mean, Jared and I, the first year we did 25 deals, then 54. And that's where Elizabeth came in, 54 deals. And I had a baby that same year. Then we went to 109 deals. So wow. If you could imagine, I mean, it was just crazy and crazy fun because we were a teacher and a firefighter. So the money was fun and growing a business was fun and we were having babies. I mean, it was just wild. So we realized we have to get a hold of our time or we're going to feel like this spinning top of chaos all the time. And so she very quickly realized the need for us to have a plan and a 411. And for those of you, I am curious, and if you're on mute and you can't, just in the chat box, if you're consistently using a 411 or you can unmute yourself, can you say I am?
I've never even heard of 411.
I have one and I redo it every month and just to see where I am for my goals.
Good.
They're a little bit off the past couple months, but I have one.
Okay. All right. So anybody else that's literally, I live by my 411, I cannot start Monday without it. Okay, so that just helps me kind of explain the thinking. So she had us create the 411, and basically we're going to walk through this process of it. I will be honest, and Sandy, you can probably appreciate this, for about 6 months, I fought the 411. I don't want to slow down and get myself organized. You don't understand, I've got 5 listing appointments tomorrow. I don't have time for this. And she said, then that's fine until you make time to get yourself organized. We're not going to talk about anything different. So if that explains my personality, I didn't take 411 training for 2 hours on a Tuesday. I took it for 6 months, or I spent $6,000 of a mastery contract to have somebody come back every single week because she knew that was the answer to me feeling like a strong, successful business owner. And so finally, when I said, okay, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to have to fire you and get a different coach because I'm tired of talking about this, that is when year 3, the bold opportunity came, and owning different properties. And she helped me see, when I can identify what's most important and plan for that, I can have many different worlds happening on one sheet of paper. Okay. So Sandy, you're not alone. I fought this thing for a really long time until now. I can't start Monday without having the 411 because I don't know what I'm supposed to do that day. Okay. All right. So let's talk about it. Focus. Okay. And identifying our big rocks. When I say big rocks, does that have meaning for anyone? What does it mean?
The 20%
to get done.
Okay, I love it. So the 20%. So some of you have already done some real estate classes, and yet for those of you that haven't, I want you to take a peek at this video. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, here we go.
Oh, no, we don't see the
No, we
video.
can't see it.
Oh, you don't see it?
We see your PowerPoint still.
Yeah, we see the PowerPoint.
Go up to the top to say share options, and then quit screen sharing and click on the,
Oh, hold on.
at the top.
There it is.
Okay,
There it is.
here we go.
You got the rocks, the dirt, and the girl.
How cute is that? All right,
That
so
was a
you
nice
guys
video.
tell me, that's a very symbolic video. What did you see?
Hey, Amber. For me, I'd seen that before in a 7 Habits class I had taken. And a thing that it hit with me, you get the big rocks in, and actually in that case, all the sand didn't fit. And it was just being okay with that. And like when he dug it up where that big rock came up randomly, move some dirt, because there's always something that at the end of the day, does it actually matter? It's just annoying sand.
I love that. What are some of those things that just don't really matter and you find yourself bogged down in time with those?
Email.
Yeah, bingo.
You get them.
What else?
Ese tu pedito, pásame tu pedito.
I always make the mistake that if I get the little things out of the way, then I'll have more time to spend on the big things. And that never happens.
Mhm.
So Amber, it's actually a really good question. This is we're all in this business where the details matter, and the small stuff does matter, because the small stuff can turn into big problems if they're not taken care of. So I think this is where I find some conflict between understanding the concept, yet maybe needing some clarity on the reality that, well, if I don't get this addendum over to these people ASAP, then they're not going to close on time, or, whatever the small stuff happens to be at the moment, or maybe that is the big stuff. So I think I'm having some trouble identifying what is the small stuff.
Yep, exactly.
So I think, an addendum to get us to closing, that is kind of a big thing. Okay, that wouldn't be a small thing. Yet I think back to when time owned me and I did not own my time. I would spend hours on end researching business cards. We've changed websites 3 or 4 different times. We've researched, you can spend this inordinate amount of time in things that are not going to move your business forward. There's a blue app on your phone. Do you guys have that blue app?
Kelly.
Oh,
Kelly.
Kelly. Oh,
Yeah.
you said Kelly because you're like a star student. No, it's not Kelly. What is it?
Facebook.
There you go.
What is it? I missed it.
Facebook.
Oh.
If we were working in Kelly and adding contacts to command, that would be a great use of our time. And yet, how many of you look at the time report that you get on your cell phone and it turns your stomach how much time you've wasted on social media or things that don't really matter?
Honestly, don't look at that.
Me neither. Never seen it.
You may want to, if you have an iPhone, just swipe down and you can get this report on the amount of time. I have it set up to where it sends it to me every single day so that I can keep myself in check at all times on what really matters.
Where do you find it?
I think it's on your settings. I don't know, because mine sends it to me. I don't ever
You can
go
just search for screen time.
There we go.
Or you can also go to settings and then the battery, and it'll show you your for the last 24 hours. It'll show you your usage on that.
Oh, okay, mine was turned off.
That's called a gut check, okay? You can also set up to where at 30 minutes for social media or 15 minutes that you then are prompted to turn it off, or you actually have to approve continuing usage. Some of us need to parent ourselves like we parent our kids.
And it's so funny because clearly there's an issue or they wouldn't have made this an option, right? So it isn't like this is new or different for anybody else. It's an option because it's clearly an issue that we have to address.
You got it. So let's talk about this, how you get in front of this issue. There's something called the 80-20 principle. It's called Pareto's principle. And Pareto was Vilfredo Pareto. He was an Italian economist, and he was doing studies, and he realized that 20% of the society owned 80% of the properties and the wealth. And so he began to test this 80-20 or 20-80 principle across different areas. And I think I shared this recently with Sandy with Bold Pivot. About 20% of our company was signing up for Bold Pivot. It ended up pushing to be a little bit more. Yet, would you guys agree that 20% of the real estate agents have 80% of the listings?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Got it. So here's what I would jot down is 20% of my actions. So write this down. 20% of my actions create 80% of my results. 20% of my actions create 80% of my results. So what are the actions that you think create 80% of your results?
Lead gen.
Jen?
Okay,
Lead
number
gen.
1, lead generation. What else?
Lead follow-up.
Talking to your buyers.
So, well, that's talking. So that's lead generating. Lead follow-up is really talking to someone you already have a signed contract with. Okay, what else?
Go on appointments.
Sandy's been here. Going on appointments. What else?
Negotiate contracts.
Yes. And last one.
Script and role play.
Wait, we're missing some things.
Where do I create flyers and business cards and my website and all of that? Where does that go?
Where are the pebbles?
Yeah.
Remember our sand example? They still go in there, and yet they're not your job. Your job is those 5, and truly, that's really your only part of your job that actually matters, okay? How many of you can think back to a day where you've nailed those 5? I mean, you lead generated, you made all those contacts, you followed up, you sent properties, you scheduled a new listing appointment, you negotiated that deal. I mean, you did your role play with someone in the market center. You got all of that done. How do you leave work that day?
Elated.
Say it again.
Elated. Happy.
Elated, happy, you feel good. You feel accomplished. You got it. So let's flip the script. You know the day that you worked on that flyer and you held the deal together all day long. Our team had a closing that was delayed, and one of our agents Friday, I mean, she literally was with that person for 9 hours, finding an Airbnb for them and doing this. And I mean, how do you feel at the end of a day like that?
Exhausted.
Dead.
And then when you go home, how do you treat the people in your world?
I'm cranky.
Cranky because you're exhausted.
You got it, because you didn't do your job. When I talk with agents in the bold room about this, I ask the question, if you were hiring yourself to do your job, so if you were hiring you to do your job and you look back on yesterday, would you continue employment or would you fire you?
Capital One. I'll show you later.
Really, Amber? Are you going to go there?
Yeah, I am going to go there.
I would fire myself.
Not me.
That's
Connie, you can't say that. You're my team lead. I need you.
I love it. Well, it's in theory, or I'll ask this question. If Gary Keller just happened to show up in your office and he pulled up a chair and said, Brianna, go ahead. Or, you know, Donna, go ahead. Would you lead generate a little bit differently today than you did yesterday?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because someone is watching, okay? So, you guys can hear I have a little person crying in the background. So let's talk about that. We're just going to be real. All right, so let's talk about that 20%. You named your 20%. Well, when I went into the bold world, I started to feel this disconnect because honestly, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And so I said to my head coach, I said, Scott, how do I do a 411 and how do I time block if I don't know my job as a bold coach? And so I sent him this list with, you know, a bulleted item, and we went back and forth and we really narrowed it down, because without knowing your 20%, the training stops here. Without knowing your 20%, the training doesn't need to continue, okay? Because you don't plan for all of the other stuff. You plan for the 20% alone. And here's the issue though. Does your brain work that way? No, what does your brain tell you?
Work on the necessary things.
Yep, everything's an emergency. What else?
High priorities, not enough time.
There's something called, and I'd write this down, and we're not going to go deep on it today just because of our amount of time together, is there's something called a 50-50 fallacy. Your brain thinks, because of our programming and our wiring, that effort equals results. Our brain says, I'm going to do effort and it's going to give me results. Well, that's not true, because all of our efforts don't stack up equally. Doing the flyer, Sandy, does that get you farther with finding new agents for Keller Williams than setting a lunch appointment with a mega from Berkshire Hathaway?
Right, setting the lunch appointment.
You got it. And yet your brain says, well, that one took me about an hour to do a flyer and an hour for a lunch appointment. Your brain is constantly going to fight you because the wiring that we have follows the 50-50 fallacy. Things do not matter equally. Okay? Think about days in your life that are more important than others. Shout them out.
Anniversary,
Yep.
birthdays.
Good. I think of the days that I've had our kids. It's still the same 24 hours in a day, yet those days are truly more important. Okay? So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. We talked about professional big rocks, and yet I want you in front of you on your notepad to jot down professional and personal big rocks. What are your must-do items? So take about 30 seconds and knock down a list and be ready to share it with us. Think health. Think important people in your world.
Really not good at this.
I know, because you know why? It's so much easier to just handle what shows up in our inbox.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah. So our big rocks are going to be what's good, what's going to
move you forward.
Okay.
So Sandy gave us 5 professional big rocks, okay? Does anyone have any others to add to Sandy's list? Remember, it's your 20% that gives you 80% of your results. Isn't that interesting? All right, let's talk about the personal side. What are the big rocks for you personally that when we get to the 411, that you're going to make sure you have time allocated or written down in your 411? Personal.
Exercise.
Okay, so start jotting some of these down. Exercise, your physical health. What else?
Prayer.
Spiritual.
Prayer.
Prayer, good.
Praying.
So spiritual, I love it. What else?
So, yeah, so spending time with my family.
Family.
Kids, exercise, meditating.
Date night or date time, if, you know.
I love it.
I'm stealing all of y'all's. I just want to let you know. To help me build my...
All right, what else?
Savings and, taking care of, bills and things in your home. Yeah.
Nailed it. I was waiting for that financial piece.
Yeah, financial. That's important to me.
Community involvement, volunteering.
Good. What fills your bucket personally? Volunteering, getting out there and serving others.
And one more.
What else? Do you guys know where you can find, and you already just gave us the whole list, yet do you know where you can really find these defined well?
Where?
The one thing.
The one thing?
One thing.
It's in the one thing. I just loaned a new agent my copy of it, or yet I would pull it open. I think it's page 114, and it has all those circles: key relationships, financial, your business. It has your spiritual, your health. All of those pieces are right there. Okay.
And you should have one thing in each of those. Queen Mongo just got a book from me this week, And we had this conversation in the office. When I first got the book, I would move it from the living room to the dining room, and I'd put it in my bag, and I'd carry it at work, and then I had it on the end table in my bedroom, and I didn't read it because I was afraid that it was going to tell me that my one thing was lead generation, and I didn't want to hear about it anymore. And right, seriously, that happened. And so then when I read it, I was like, oh, holy crap, it's not about real estate or lead generation at all. It's about the 7 areas of your life. And yeah, lead generation is probably the one that's in my business, but there are 6 other things on that wheel that if you're not filling those buckets, then your wheel's going to be out of circle. And so if you haven't wrapped your head around that book, I would, because as we talk about this, it isn't just about your big rocks for business. It is about being balanced in all of those places. Because when Amber started the conversation, she said, what was first? I'm a great mom and wife. And then she's all these other things too, but they're all important.
You got it. This business one day will be over and we'll retire, and our kids will go to college, and I'm going to be stuck with that man that I'm married to. So I have to still like him when all of this comes to an end. And you know what, Jared and I honestly came to that the first couple of years we really focused on business.
Something I can munch on.
Felt really
sweet potato.
Hey, Amber, I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
I know, we gotta mute
Sweet
somebody.
potato.
Yeah,
Rosemary Ziegler.
Yeah, it's Rosemary.
Thank you, daughter. Do we get Rosemary some potatoes, something please. All right, so Jared and I figured that out the hard way, probably by our 3rd year in business, when we hit that 109 units. I said, babe, we're doing great things on the business side, and yet I kind of feel like you and I only talk about real estate anymore. And I used to think you were funny, and we used to be kind of romantic, and you've got it. Those parts are 5/7 of your wheel. And when you don't pay attention to them and you only focus on business, you don't feel very good on the inside. Okay. All right. So somebody just set this slide up perfectly. Can you guys still see the slides?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone said, this is hard. I don't like doing this. Well, guess what? Because we're living all the time in this world down here. Read for yourself for a second what you see under E, or entrepreneurial.
Yes. You have one.
All right, what do you guys notice?
That's all the fun stuff, right? That's the rock star.
What comes
stuff.
naturally?
Yeah, you don't have to work for that.
Yeah, and it's fun, right? Because it's easy.
Enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called easy. So it's doing easy or doing you on purpose. So let's do, it's what comes naturally and what comes unnaturally. So look under the unnatural. For you to become a managed, planned out, time blocked person, we're going to get very uncomfortable. We're going to do things we haven't done before. And here's what's required. I would jot these 5 down. Focus. Which good news you're here. Okay. Options, models, systems, and then the last one, accountability. We're going to give you the first 4 today, at least in a small part. And then the last part you're going to have to do on your own. And yet, are we all better with accountability?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. It took me 6 months of accountability to actually do a 411. So I say that and say good luck. So some people say it's moving from easy to painful, and yet that's not really reality. When we get on purpose, what do we end up doing?
Moving forward, I'd say.
Focusing.
Yeah, what does it say right in here? Ceiling of
achievement.
You got it. How many of you can wave at me that you feel like you're stuck at a certain ceiling of business or personal?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, you got it. Well, until we get on purpose, you're going to stay that same place. And when you stay the same place and what's easy, it
Mhm.
says it's easy, and yet here's what we really feel: disappointment, then resignation, and we say, you know what, I'm going my old 9 to 5. It was a lot easier. I mean, it was a paycheck. And then that cycle continues and continues until we get on purpose. Okay. So let's talk about getting on purpose. So it doesn't happen overnight, and we get on purpose with one little piece of our life at a time. So I love this exercise, and we're just going to talk through it. Think about how you currently return phone calls to clients. The easy plan. What could you do to make your client emails and returning phone calls a little more purposeful?
Hey, so can I share, Amber, I tell this story all the time about you. Her voicemail says, "Hi, it's Amber Rutherford from the Rutherford Group. I return calls at noon to 1 and 4 to 5. I'm available on Saturdays by appointment. On Sundays are reserved for faith, family, and friends." And I think that's the most amazing thing on the planet, because she sets the expectations for everyone who phones her about when they can expect to hear back from her. And she says that faith, family, and friends are most important, and I have a whole day for them, and and that my Saturdays are by appointment only. And I think that people totally respect the fact that you have organization in your world enough that you can say that on your voicemail. So sorry if I blew your whole thing, but I know that voicemail by heart, because I was so impressed with it from the first day I called you some years ago. So yeah, there you go.
So that is Sandy Let a Cat Out of Baghdad, which is how I return phone calls and handle communication with people. Well, think about it. When you hear what Sandy shared, what do you notice about returning calls?
That you schedule it.
Yeah, you're controlling the time you put to it.
Yep, there's going to be a
Time
window
block.
in the morning and a window in the afternoon, and that tells me, Amber, you either need to talk quickly or get organized in what you're going to say, because you're not going to spill over into that. Or you're not going to get out of lead generation early to do it, because here's what happens when you set expectations with people. Okay, when you set those expectations with people and you call them at 11:15 in the morning, guess what they say?
"Hey, Amber, thanks for calling me back right away. Listen, I won't take much of your time. Let's get this, their expectation is that you're going to handle the business right then and be done."
Or Sandy, sometimes they say that, and more often they say this: "Oh, I didn't think you were going to call me until 12."
Oh, yeah.
So Pete, there's a bold law that says you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
You teach people
Oh,
And time is one of the biggest areas that you are going to have to be very purposeful about how you ask people to treat you. And Sandy brought up the returning phone calls piece. Where do you think that actually starts? Do you think I just leave that on my voicemail?
No, in the consultation, you talk about that so that they know what the expectations are before they call you even and get that voicemail.
You've got it. I say in the expectation that our mission, vision, values, and beliefs, and I talk about our beliefs statement, and it is faith, family, and business in that order. So Mr. Seller, unless we're negotiating a contract, Monday through Saturday, I am 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on, and I am going to return your phone calls. Yet Sunday, unless we're negotiating that contract, I power down, I feed my soul, I spend time with my family. And I had to learn that the hard way, because the first few years I didn't do that, and I started working 70 plus hours a week, and I missed things. I missed things on contracts. And you know what? Frankly, that's not okay with me to serve my clients in that manner. Yeah, don't worry. Our team takes a rotating day of rest, but there's always someone available. And yet on Sunday, I do power down. Mr. Seller, are you okay with that? And most of the time, what do you think I would hear?
Yes.
Of course. They think that's spectacular. They appreciate that that's the way you roll. Michael Frangidis, are you listening? Dad of a young one and a workaholic.
I am.
Okay, thank you. Just
Ugh,
checking.
I love the truth serum that is coming out of Sandy.
Just checking.
Here's the piece. Most of the time, they will say, well, it worked for Chick-fil-A. Good for you, honey. Or they'll say, I remember the day when everything was closed on Sundays. Do you remember that? And I'll say, I was born in the 80s. No, I don't remember that. No, I remember that. I don't remember that. Anyway, here's the piece. We can be very purposeful with lead generation, with our time management. When you begin to operate in a 411, you have to be on purpose, or it is an absolute waste of the paper that you wrote it on, okay? All right, so let's keep moving forward. So the first set of this was the mindset, the thinking of a top mega agent. And that is the top mega agent knows what is my 20%, okay? We're gonna time block and plan our 411 around that 20%, not everything else, okay? And yet, the 411 comes after setting big goals. So you guys tell me, how do you set goals?
So I do things the old-fashioned way in a sense. I have a logbook that I've kept for many years, and literally throughout the week, I'll put everything as first priority, what I have to do, like my 80-20. So I put my most important things that are most important decision makers up front first, and then I leave the majority of the phone calls that are soft calls I call at the end of the day, that I can talk a little longer. So I try to prioritize everything and try to break everything down, and then try to put things on autopilot and delegate as much as I can.
Okay, good. So you're going all the way down to what am I doing every single day? How do you guys set your goals annually?
So it's usually around a big why and how to fund that, right? So it's whatever I am trying to accomplish in my world and how am I going to fund that? I mean, we all go to work to make money, right? So that's usually what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. How else do you set goals?
Amber, it's interesting. I was thinking about this just recently. I have sort of an impression of what a goal setter is and what a goal setter does. And because I don't meet that definition, I always thought of myself as somebody who doesn't set and meet goals. Right. And I shared that with a couple of people over the last few weeks, and they looked at me like I had 10 heads, and they said, will you just look at what you've accomplished over the last couple of years and then tell me again that you don't set goals and achieve them? And I said, well, I guess you're right. I guess because I don't do it the way that I think his name is Mike, it says on the screen, just mentioned. I don't write it down. I don't separate it into, okay, step one, step two. I just sort of do it in my head and know what I need to do. And I just make mental milestones. Here's where I want to be, like getting my real estate license, for example. I just set the mental goal and just go. And I can't even explain the process because it's just sort of, I just kind of internalize it and it just manifests through my actions. And I guess in some level, I'm obviously breaking them down into manageable steps, but I'm not doing it on paper.
Okay, so let's go there, June. Here is the research behind it. When a class graduated from Harvard, they asked the class, what would you like to do with your career? How much money would you like to make? What are your goals? And many of the people, June, said exactly that. Well, some of them said, I don't have any goals. I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm going to backpack Europe and just go have some fun. Then some said, well, I've got some goals and they're up here. I kind of know and I've got them up here. And yet, then there was another group that said, I have them written down. Then there was another group that said, I have them written down and I've got a plan around accomplishing them. Which one do you think had the greatest success with accomplishing those goals?
Oh, I'm certain it's the ones who had the plan and wrote it down, hands down. So that's what I'm thinking is, wow, if I could do what I've done in the last few years without having it written down and strategizing a little bit more thoroughly, what on earth could I possibly, how much more could I possibly accomplish by putting it on paper?
That's the definition of E to P. Entrepreneurial, what we just kind of naturally do, to being on purpose, okay? So let's talk about goal setting, okay? We are going to write some things down, and yet I want you to think about aiming high. Would you guys say that climbing Mount Everest, I mean, that is like the elite of the elite. That is a really massive goal. Has anyone climbed Mount Everest?
No.
Because you guys didn't really respond, so I thought, wow, there's like half of them have done Mount Everest, and I just don't know it. Well, here's what Gary says in the one thing. He said, when you aim for Mount Everest, guys, making it to base camp, even base camp, is that a feat in climbing?
Yes.
Yeah, you got it. So I want us to think today, we're going to aim really, really high, and we're going to think really big, okay? So I'm going to share my thinking big with you, and you start with the really big, and that is called someday goals. So write this down for me on your notepad. Someday, 5, 3, and then 1. You're going to have these big someday goals. Then you're going to say, well, what do I have to do in the next 5 years to make someday happen? Then what about 3 years from now? What do I have to have accomplished to make someday happen? And then we just keep chunking it down to that 1 year goal. And you're going to see in a minute that 1 year goal is the top of your 411. Okay, it's the top of it. So here's what I'm going to ask. I want you to think with a really open mind, because I'm going to share my goals with you, and they may seem really big and really audacious, and yet when I wrote them down, I thought the exact same thing. I thought there is no way I will ever do this, and yet I'm going to tell that monkey mind to be quiet, and I'm just going to do it, okay? This is called, if you want to write it down, goal setting to the now. Goal setting to the now. And if you'd like to spend more time with it, you can go to the one thing and read all about goal setting to the now. Okay. I know it's pretty tiny on your screen, and yet can you see the sheet on the left, how it's got some someday goals, just list it all out. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got net worth and how many properties we'd like to own. I've got personal leverage, a cook, someone to do our laundry, personal goals about running a marathon, taking my family to Europe, going on vacation every quarter. I would put owning a boat, yet Jared and I are not handy, so joining a boat club, living on a bay facing waterfront home, owning a beach house. So in my mind, I'm just rattling off like, these are really, really big goals, okay? So that's what I'm gonna ask you to do right now. And then we'll look at the bottom half in just a second. So are my goals that I wrote down those someday, are they pretty lofty?
Yes.
Yeah, so here's what I'm gonna ask, that you are like the 40-year-old version of someone in a 10-year-old body sitting on Santa Claus's lap at the mall, and you have reckless abandon. And you just say, I want all these things, and there's no judgment around, can you really do them, or is it just too far-fetched? I want you to write them down, okay? So take about 30 seconds and think really big. Think net worth, think retirement, and write them down for me. Someday goals. All right, here we go. I see some people starting to take a little break. And remember, this is something you're going to continue to flesh out on your own. So do me a favor, and this is a very safe place. Share with us, what are some of your big goals?
Mine's
just had-
financial freedom.
Yeah.
Debt, anyone have debt free written down? Good. You've got a lot of friends. Okay, what else?
Own a summer home.
Love it.
There's sir.
Go ahead. There were two of you, a gentleman and a lady, and I missed both of them.
I say own 10 properties.
Nice.
What did she say?
She said own 10 properties.
properties.
I have that written down, 10 investment homes.
Yeah. All right, what else?
I do want to own a boat, be debt free, have my own home, and 10 investment properties.
I have learned to operate a boat, and then I crossed out boat and wrote yacht.
There you go.
Said that. Wave at me so I can see
Donna.
it. Yeah, Donna. Oh. So Donna, I'm glad you went there because this is the trap that we get into. 90% of our success is our mindset. 90% of it. And let me prove this to you. So I wrote the list on the left-hand side when I was 37. Okay, when I was 37. And my brother is actually on the call today. He can tell you that over 2/3 of the list that in my mind was someday goals, like 45 years old. I've already accomplished 2/3 of the list, and I just turned 40 last month.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Here's what it is. I'm not amazing. The power of the mind is amazing. When you take, like June just said, when you take all of that that's up here and you just write it down, your brain it's like a GPS system. You plug in the address and it's going to figure out a way to get you there. The problem is when we're going through life on E or entrepreneurial and we don't have goals, your car is just driving wherever it feels like going. And the fun thing is, one thing on this list was take my family to Europe. Well, my husband had never been to Europe and the kids have never been to Europe. And last summer, well, the end of May, my mother-in-law said, I'd really like the boys to come to Michigan. And I said, oh, I don't know. They've never flown alone. I don't know. And then about 2 or 3 days later, my mom said, hey, can I borrow Addison, our youngest, for a couple of weeks to go visit my parents for their anniversary? And here's the power of the mind. My brain said, oh, no kids. Jared and I could have 2 weeks and go to Europe. Now, I would have never thought that had I not been, so this sheet that you see in front of you, if you notice there's a little glare to it, the reason that there's a glare to it is every single year I redo this and I carry it around with me. You can see on the bottom of the right-hand side in a little binder with my calendar, with my 411, with my planner, my notepad. I carry this around with me so that any spare minute that I get, which used to be on airplanes, so I got to find a new way to have spare minutes because that went away. I would pull out my binder and I would open it up to these someday goals. And I would just let them simmer. And I guess by osmosis, I'd spend time with them and remind myself that I said that those were really important. What do you think happens when you have these someday goals and you're constantly engaging with them?
You grow.
They come to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think they come to fruition?
Because they become a part of you.
Yeah, they come so much faster because you're intentional. It's almost putting like a magnifying glass with the sun. It burns through it way faster.
Instead of warming us, the sun can do that. Or if you do the magnifying glass, it can literally start a fire. Here's what happens, and it's a really interesting thing to watch. When you live with goals in front of you all the time, your mind makes different decisions. You don't cop out of the lead generation early. You don't allow an entire couple of days to get away from you, because you are looking back at what you said is the most important thing, and your mind will automatically start making decisions to get into alignment with that. Okay? So you've got your someday goals. Here's what I'd like you to do is, I have it backwards on the bottom. What I'd like you to do is pick one of your someday goals, and then in about 10 or 15 seconds, don't overthink it. Write down for me the 5, the 3, and the 1. What has to happen in 5 years to make someday happen, 3 years, and then 1 year? So maybe if it's the 10 properties, maybe in the next year you acquire your 1. And then by year 3, maybe you have 6. And then by year 5, you have those 10 or 8. You take a minute to map out your 5, 3, 1. All right, who can walk us through theirs?
So I don't know if I did this right, but I picked waterfront condo. And so for the first year, I save. By the 3rd year, I qualify. And the 5th year, I buy.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's the piece that I'm going to ask all of us. When you look at them, and you'll notice on mine, it is very specific. You know, $1.5 million in net worth, 3 expansion partners, this amount in profit share, the exact number I'm going to net from different jobs. And you can see that the specificity makes the brain even more powerful. Okay? One more person, walk us through your 1, 3, 5. Does anybody have questions about doing it?
My 135. So my 135 is by the end of my first year, I want to have 3 team members to grow where I'm steering and growing and building this. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to do this. By my 2nd year, I plan to expand out into different networks, right? So I have a roadmap that I've already designed, and it's on my wall, but it's pretty massive. And then my 5-year plan is to live on my yacht.
Yeah, buddy. And here's the piece Gary Keller tells us this. People overestimate what they can do in 1 year. People grossly overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and grossly underestimate where they can be in 5 years. So I love that, because in 5 years, you 100% can be doing that.
Yes, I've always, let me just tell you, I've always challenged myself. I've been an entrepreneur ever since I left high school, and went to college 1 year, but I've always been on my own all my life. And I've traveled to Europe the last 18 years, every single year for 1 month. It's the best feeling of the world to have freedom. At this time of my life, I really wanted to get involved in real estate. And honest to God, I mean, I give kudos to Sandy because she's so well versed in the way she explains growth that I share that passion that I have with her, that I feel I could grow. So, you know, when you have a mentor next to you and a team member, a partner, a friend, and she kind of fit that criteria, and I felt comfortable with her. And my wife kept on asking me, who's this lady, Sandy?
Uh-oh.
But it's such a good feeling to have that person that you can collab and grow with and bounce ideas off with. If you don't have a power team behind you, you're weak. So you need to have good, strong links to grow.
You are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I agree with that 100%.
And I have shared my gratitude back because he's made me better, because he challenges me. You know, he questions everything, and he has big, lofty goals and high expectations. And so he makes me raise my bar. So it's really spectacular.
I love it.
Appreciate you, my friend.
So
Love you
here,
too, girl.
here is something that isn't part of the training, and yet I want to show, and Michael kind of hit on it, this is the level of depth in which the planning is involved. So when you've got this 1, 3, 5 year and someday goals written out, you also have to think, who do I get to become to have all of these things? Because in BOLD, we talk about this law, be, do, and then achieve. So being is, who am I? Okay, your business grows to the extent that you do. I'll never have anything on there if I'm not personally growing. And so from that, which it's not part of the training, I don't know how to separate them. So I'm just going to share with you ours. This is from 2018, my growth plan. And you'll see every single month there is growth that I had at that time for BOLD, and growth that I had for the Rutherford group, and then lastly, personal growth. And again, you'll see the glare from it because I carried this around with me, and every single month I was taking inventory. So can you guys see what's on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit bigger. Yeah.
So what do you notice?
That's better.
Training, coaching. You're constantly writing stuff in, you're altering, you're tweaking it constantly. You're constantly revising through life's path.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set up monthly.
Yep, monthly's on there, personal's on there. This is, in order for me to have the things I desire, who am I becoming? So you'll notice great books, Jim Rohn, The Weekend Seminar, I'm taking career visioning, attending family reunion, writing 100 questions every single month, reading the 4 disciplines of execution, interviewing other people, having lunches. Are you personally growing every single month?
Yeah.
Because without that, the things on your 411 are probably not going to happen, okay? So this is something that I carry with me, and it makes doing my 411 really easy because I've already said, hey, in May, I'm going to go to ESO and I'm going to read Shift. I'm going to interview these different people. So when you have all the planning done at the front end, it makes the back end a lot easier, okay? So we're not going to talk about the accountability piece because I really want to get into the 411, yet I will say this, that success is determined by the following. You may want to write it down. Success is determined 3 parts. 10% is clarity of your goals. 10% is clarity of your goals. 10% is the specificity of your action plan. Do you have an action plan to get you there? I just shared with you mine, my growth plan. So clarity of goals, an action plan that's very specific. And then the third part, I'm curious to see if you agree, 80% of your success is having accountability. What do you think about that?
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many of you behave better when you're, ordering food versus when you're in a weight loss competition or when you're not? I know I do. I will take the extra scoop of the ice cream with the extra, and then I'm in the weight loss competition, and next thing you know, let's go vegan, honey. I think so here's what I set in place for accountability. Everything that I just shared with you, I send to my coach, and I have to turn it in by October. I have to give him my growth plan for the following year in October so that we can tweak and say, do those books really move you forward? Are you really thinking big enough? Are you interviewing the right people? Because honestly, if I didn't have to turn it in, I will admit it is less likely that I will get it done. If you agree with that statement, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we have talked about the thinking behind the 411, the big rocks piece of it, and then we went into the goal setting, okay? Before we can ever do a 411, we have to know where are we desiring to go, so that we can then create this beautiful thing called a 411. Okay, so this is really the meat of today. So let's look at the structure of it. Jot these couple of numbers down. If they would have asked me, it would have been a 114, yet nobody called me, okay? Because here's the order of it. It's a 411, 4 weeks that flow into 1 month that flows into 1 year. Yet, if you've downloaded it, or I'm going to show you on a slide, you'll see the top of the page is your annual, then your monthly, then your weekly goals, okay? The original 411 was written based on these 4 categories: your job goal, your business goal, your personal finance goals, and your personal life goals. So this question always comes up, well, what's the difference between your job and your business goals? Does anyone want to take a stab at that?
The job is the activities that you do, and the business is the structure, building the business.
You got it. So the job goals that you have is what will you do? You specifically. So I'm in an organization, and some of us are doing listings, some are doing buyers, some are admin. And so the job goal is what I personally am going to do. And then the business goal is what is our business or team going to do? If you are a rainmaker, you're the owner of the team, wave at me. Okay, if you're a single agent, wave at me. Okay, good, because you're that person too. So you get to have the job and business goals, and then personal financial and personal life goals. Personal financial is, reduced liabilities, decreasing debt, increasing assets. So many of you mentioned acquiring investment properties. All of that goes in your personal financial. And then lastly, and I like to think most importantly, is your personal life. That's your health, your family, your spiritual. That's also your education, okay? Books and things like that. So let's talk about the flow of this. So you'll notice on the sheet right here, it says annual goals. You start at the top, and remember the activity we just did took it from someday, 5, 3, and 1. Well, when you've got that fleshed out, you're going to take your 1-year goals and then really put them right at the top of your 411 sheet. So annually, what am I going to do this year? How many listings am I going to sign? How many appointments am I going to go on to get those signed? How many days am I going to lead generate, me personally? Do you guys know where you can find all the information for the job part of your 411?
No.
The one
Next, the millionaire real estate.
Yes, who said it?
Okay.
Okay, so in the MREA, write this down. Your job is very easy. It's in the MREA under the economic model. The economic model walks you through, hey, this is how much money I want to make this year, all the way down to the number of appointments that you get to go on to make that happen. Okay, that's your job. That's your job. Then your business is, what is the whole team going to make? What is the number of team units the whole team is going to do? How many, I think Michael mentioned it, how many people he's going to have employed. All of that is business, okay? So you start at the top with annual. Then you break it down to monthly. Now, can I give you something I had to learn the hard way after 2 years?
Yes, please.
My mistakes. All right, here you go. For your monthly, do not divide by 12. Divide by 10. Don't divide by 12, divide by 10. Here's the good news. If you get everything done by the end of October, take off November and December and go to Europe. Go do whatever you want. And yet here's the reality. How many of you look at a calendar and think, oh my goodness, I'm really only at work 2 weeks this month? How many people ever feel like that? Pre-COVID. Yeah, some of us are like, I remember those days about 5 months ago. So here's what you do is you take your annual and you divide it by 10 to create your monthly goal. So that way your goal isn't outpacing the amount of time that you actually have set aside for it. Does that make sense?
So Amber, just to clarify, so then are you saying that you don't create monthly goals for November and December?
No, here's the thing. If you are accomplishing your entire goal by October, what do you think my question would be to you as your coach?
Where are you going November and December?
No, I'd say, is your goal really big enough?
Yeah.
Is your goal really big enough? So here's what I learned. I'm going to take off every time my kids have a week off for Thanksgiving. I'm off too. 2 weeks around the holidays, I'm off. We're going to go on vacation in the summertime. When they're sick, one of them broke their arm a week or two ago. Well, all of those appointments add up to days out of work. Does anybody else live in that same kind of world? Yeah, so what you do is you plan for it by dividing by 10 instead of 12. It just doesn't work. Okay? Then I had to learn that the hard way through lots of frustration. Okay, so then what you do is you flow down to, so I'm a 411. How many of you guys downloaded the document we put in the chat box? Do you see the flow of it? Okay, super, you got it. Queen's got it. So it's annual, then monthly, then you flow down to weekly. Do me a favor, please, and write down this. Fill out 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time. Some of you like to be uber organized and fill in week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all at the beginning of the month. Where can that cause an issue?
If you don't get things done or new things are added to your plate.
You got it. So let's say week number 1, your goal is to sign 2 listings. Okay, week number 1 is sign 2 listings. Well, you only got 1 signed. Uh-oh. So are you on goal or are you off goal?
Off goal.
So then in your second week of your job, what will you now have as a goal?
Sign 3 listings.
You got it. Write it down. It would be to, you carry over the loss to the next week. You sign 3 listings in week number 2. Well, if you pre-fill out this thing the whole entire month, is it really a guide for you?
Yes. Well, no.
Yeah, it's not, because you're not responding to the reality of it, okay? So here's what I do, and one day, purposeful is going to be my middle name. I'm not there yet. Every single Friday, let me pull open, because this is sad, I don't even know the exact time. Every Friday, I have a calendar reminder at 10 a.m. And that calendar reminder says, if you can see it, that's probably hard to read, yet it says 135 growth plan. I'll say it slower. 135 growth plan 411 time block. 135 growth plan, and that is just look back at my 135, my annual plan, look at my growth plan, then I'm gonna do my 411 and I'm going to time block. Every single week at the exact same time, this calendar reminder goes off, and on the 28th of every month, I have a month's end one to do my annual and monthly goal for the next month. To wrap up the month, how am I doing? Did we have the number of closings we thought we would, the number of listings? Because it is still not natural for me to just sit down on a Friday and do that. What do you guys think about that?
Can you say those 2 again?
What I put on the calendar?
Yes.
You do that every Friday? The
Yep,
135, the growth plan, the 411, and the time block?
Yeah, so every Friday, my calendar reminder goes off, and it's really just review my 135 and my growth plan. That way I'm actually living with it. I'm engaging. I didn't do it in October and put it in a filing cabinet. So it's review my growth plan and my 135. Then I do my 411. Uh-oh. Are you guys still with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did the PowerPoint go away?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it says you're viewing Osmari's screen. Osmari, how do we get your screen?
Osmari needs to stop.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that. The screen disappeared on my end and I was trying to get it back. So,
Oh, that's okay. Can you, on your screen, it should say stop sharing somewhere.
You,
There we go. Are we back?
yes.
Not the PowerPoint.
Oh,
Yep.
we lost the PowerPoint. Hey, we're back.
There we go.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Osmari, are you going to teach the rest of the class? Take it.
I'm not. I think you're doing a great job.
I'm just kidding. All right. So every single week, that calendar reminder goes off to do my weekly 411. And then on the 28th of the month, it also goes off to close out the month before. Because let's say we said we were going to sign 10 listings in June. And the end of June comes and we only signed 5. What do you think my July goal is for signed listings?
5
Add
more.
another 5.
Yeah, we got a 15. Okay, we carry it over. So I'm going to give you a real example of a 411. A couple of points to highlight. It's best when it's in pencil because you're constantly tweaking and adjusting. I also have a little system where I highlight the things that I accomplish. There's just something magical in getting to highlight it. It makes me
That's true.
It's the simple pleasures in life. And yet, what do you notice about my 411? And you can judge me all day long. Because there are good things and bad things.
As messy as mine. Mine is so full.
It looks like you use it daily, like you take it around with you and you're able to essentially bring it down to just one single sheet of paper.
You've got it. So I have a couple of different companies. You'll see at the top of the screen, it says RE, which is real estate. And then it also says bold. So at this time, I was living in both worlds. I was the listing agent for the team and a bold coach. So I'm not carrying 5 411s. That would never happen. And so I just drew a little line down the middle so I could have those 2 roles side by side.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, what else do you notice?
Your monthly goals, you don't have anything highlighted.
Wow, thank you for judging me. Yeah. So what did I do really well that month?
Bold. I can't see.
Bold.
It's hard to see. So I wrote my 100 questions. I did all my bold plans. I shadowed a coach. I got up at 5:30 every single morning, yet I didn't work out every single day. Yet do you think I probably did more progress by having that goal written down than I would have without it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I want to give you a little grace with this. The 411 is a journey. I am 6 years into having a 411 always, and you will turn to some months and I only have 2 weeks filled in. Guess what? 2 weeks on purpose is better than 0 on purpose.
Exactly.
Amen.
So it's all about, I'd write this down, it's about progress over perfection. Progress over perfection.
And I just love and notice that it's such a working document as opposed to mine that's a printed document. That's such a big aha for me, right? So I've done them. I just don't, they're just not as messy as yours. It really needs to be that messy if you're using it to work instead of just a document that you either look at or don't look at. And
exactly.
Because your goals may change on a daily basis depending on what's going on. The weekly goals.
Yep.
Amber, and I love that you have it highlighted because looking back at it at a year's worth of these documents, you're able to see how you weren't on track every single month with every single thing, but how you've grown and what you paid attention to in certain months. So I think that's powerful.
You got it. And it also helps me at the end of the month. When I look at it, I say, oh, crap, I didn't get these done. So guess where they move?
The next month.
What else? So here's a couple of
It's a log.
Say it again.
It creates a log.
Yep, it does. It creates you really do, when you're highlighting things, there's a sense of accomplishment
Right.
that moves you into being a more accomplished person that desires that predictability of getting things done, of being on purpose. So your brain seeks for what is familiar. That's why if I don't have a 411 done, I feel awful because I don't know what is most important. I don't have it written in front of me. So here's some things that I want you to really write down, okay? A 411 is not a to-do list. Please notice, I don't have anything about grocery shopping on here. I don't have anything about registering kids for camps or something like that. That does not live here. You know where it lives on mine?
The calendar.
Well, it does, yet I flip it over on the back. There's the back of the 411 is blank, and so I just jot down some of my to-do lists, okay? Some of my things that I know I do have to get done, yet everything that you see on a 411 should be something to move your business forward. It's not a to-do list, so be very cautious that you don't have a lot of to-do lists. It's your 20% must-do list. 20% must-do list. Many people already mentioned it. It's a living document. You engage with this thing every single day. Mine sits on my desk now because I travel with it. Yet when I was a listing agent, it hung up in front of me in my workstation where I made my phone calls from. Okay. Here's another piece of advice. Write it down. Be specific. Be specific. Like I have on here on the bottom, week 5, exercise times 3. Well, that's pretty good. Yet what if I exercise 5 minutes each time? That's not great. It could have been more specific. So exercise times 3 times 60 minutes or a certain number of miles. So clarity is power. The more specific you can be, the better. Okay. So here. Oh, go ahead.
How do you integrate your weekly goals with your daily schedule? Because I don't see the time in your goals. I don't know what time are you doing this. So how do you integrate these goals with your daily schedule?
So I love having it where I have all the slides on the left. So this is what we're gonna talk about in a minute. And yet I like to overwhelm you little bits at a time, okay? So we'll get back to that. Okay, this is enough for the moment. So yes, integration, actually making it happen, shows up in what we're gonna talk about next, which is your time block, okay? So let's back up a little bit. With what you even, and you can even do it on a notepad. Just draw 2 lines and then 4 vertical lines, 2 horizontal and 4 vertical. I want you to take an annual goal and then divide it by 10 and then divide that by 4. So that you are in essence creating your 411, your first piece of items for your first 411.
How many vertical lines?
So it's got to look like, oh, here's an example of where I was half on it. So you want to have 2 lines. Here's an annual. Here's your monthly. And then the different vertical goals are, I always have 5, just in case there are 5 weeks. And don't forget, in the chat box is a downloadable electronic 411. Sandy mentioned something a minute ago, and I think it's worth pausing on. Gary Keller has a paper calendar. Diana Kokoska has a paper calendar, and there's a reason for that. I have mine on paper, and I also have it in my Google Calendar. When you are actually writing and manipulating, there's a level of ownership that's different than saying, hey Siri, add an appointment tomorrow at 2 p.m. There's just a different level. If you agree with that, say yes.
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 Okay. So take another 30 seconds and jot down annual, monthly, and weekly. We had to make sure the puppy was going outside. Forgive me. All right, who can walk us from top to bottom?
What you mean?
So give me an annual, and then what did you have for monthly, and then what do you have for weekly?
Oh. 72.
Mine goes straight to annual commission or annual sale. Annual sale, and I put 12 million annual, 1.2 million was divided by 10, and 300,000 was divided by 4.
Okay.
So 300,000 a week.
What's your average price point?
250, 300.
Okay, so let's just do 300 because that's easy.
Uh-huh.
So a 300,000 is your typical sale. So how many closings a week do you need?
5.
Oh, I got to do math on that, and I'm not good on the spot for sure.
That's okay. I'm going to walk you through it because I think many of us probably have something similar. That's one closing a week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And yet, do we just wake up and say, ooh, I have a closing today?
No.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
That's the next class I'm going to teach. Just kidding. So here's what we do. On your 411, yes, have the financial. And yet, what also do we need to have?
The activities?
Yeah. You got it. Okay, the leading indicators. There's leading indicators, which are appointments set, the number of contacts that you make, and then lagging indicators like closings, okay? It's okay to have both. The financial so you can keep pace on where you're at. However, you need to have appointments. How many appointments? You guys, your 411 can be as simple as this. I need to be at one dinner table this week, and that's it. One dinner table.
If you have 100% conversion, and that will make you 300,000, a $300,000 sale.
Yeah, and is 100% conversion likely?
No.
Yeah, I don't have that either. I wish. And is it 2 kitchen tables to get you to that? I don't know what it is, and yet I can tell you if you will pull out the economic model in the MREA, and it will walk you from the amount of money all the way down to how many kitchen tables do I need to be at. Okay, so write that down. Calculate your economic model. All right, who else can walk us through annual goal all the way down to weekly? This is so we can learn from each other.
I did mine in transactions. I did 100 transactions a year divided by 10 transactions a month, which equals about 2.5 transactions a week, about 3. But a major aha for me is, as of now, I always count it into transactions, but not really the volume. And I see how I hit my transactions, but not the volume that I want to hit in purchase price and whatnot. So I'm switching my perspective to make sure I add that on the 411 and don't miss that out.
And you know, here's the power in it. The year we hired Elizabeth Curry, our coach, I said, hey, I have a lot of kids, so I'd really love to raise our price point up. Yes, we want to grow in units, yet I'm really interested in growing our price point. So when we went from 54 to 109, we doubled our transactions, yet we tripled our volume. So 1 year of a coach and focusing on writing down my 411, it made that much of a difference. Tripling the volume, doubling the units. Who likes to do less and make more?
We all do.
Yes, me too. All right, one more person walk us through. So I will also, I think, was that Osmari?
That was Osmari, yeah.
Okay, super. Just make sure you have the appointments on there as well. Appointments on there as well. Here's something that I don't recommend being on your 411, and it's contacts. Why do you think I don't recommend that?
Because of shifting markets.
And what do we know about a shifting market?
You have to double down like in times like right now?
Yes, you have to often do more and see less results. So when we coach new agents and we ask, all right, so how long are you going to call? We keep asking questions until they self-discover, until I make an appointment and get 20 contacts. Because if we just have a contact goal, can we make 1,000 contacts and 0 appointments?
Yes.
Yes, if you cuss at every person you call, you will not get anything. It is possible. All right, so what do you have question-wise? Because I want to make sure we have some time for time blocking and then questions. So what questions do you have about the actual nitty-gritty of getting your goals down onto a 411 document? Because it's a simple idea, yet there's always some questions.
Exactly. Amber, this is June. So one of my personal goals this year is to buy an investment condo, and we're looking at doing that before August. So it's a fast turnaround on it for me. So I'm kind of getting hung up on, and this might just be not even necessary, but looking at, okay, well, since it's so close, if it's August or September, are there monthly goals, or do we just move right down into what am I going to do this week?
No, 100%. I love this. So June, let's go there. Are you guys good? Many of you said investment properties. Okay, so here we go. What I would have on my top section is to purchase a condo by September, have it under contract September 1. Well, in your monthly goals for June, July, and August, here are some things that we're going to see. That you're going to read the MREI. That you are going to interview other investment property owners. You are going to research, I don't know if you're going to Airbnb it, yet you're going to research the different portals, Airbnb, booking.com. You're going to find out the fees. Here's another thing that are you going to rent it out?
No, well, yes, I'm going to rent it, but it'll be to my son and a roommate when he goes to grad school. Yeah.
Well, anything that we call an investment property, we're going to do what's called a stack on it. And the stack on investment property is basically what's my possible gross income all the way down to how much money am I really going to make? So do you see how many steps there are to getting to where you're actually purchasing it in September?
Yeah.
You got to identify your criteria of the type of condo that you're looking for. You are going to have to set yourself up on a search, start reading them. There's many ways that you're going to chunk this down, because if we don't start chunking it down, what can we find ourselves doing?
Scrambling and making a rash decision.
Or the opposite.
Paralysis.
Doing nothing.
You got it. That's it. You hit both of them. You are either going to overthink this to death or get nothing done. Okay?
Okay.
What other questions do we have? Was that helpful?
Well, it was helpful, but still, so would all those things go under monthly, personal, and then I just sort of pull from those and put in each week going forward?
So yes, you can list them out. You can see I actually have right here, income property. I'm going to identify my criteria. I'm going to call Dwayne West and Ray Mills. They were 2 investors that I knew had a lot of different properties, and I wanted to learn from them. So I put it all up here, and then you'll see down on my weekly, well, I didn't really get much done. I didn't get much done. Over here, look, search income property. And I have something blocking part of my screen, so I can't see all of it. Yet I break it down here into what am I doing each week to accomplish the month.
I gotcha. Okay, I got it.
And here's what I think everybody needs to hear right now. There's not one right way to do this. Some people have really detailed monthly goals, and yet some people don't. They've just kind of got that stakeholder. This must happen, and then in the weeks is where they get specific. It's more what fits your personality profile. All right, what other questions do we have about 411?
Well, I see that you mapped out your profit for weekly, monthly, and annually as well. Should we do that as well? Is that your goals?
Yeah, so financially, I always want to know how much money I'm making. And yet, for me, for Bold, I get paid per person in Bold. So I know the money metric. And yet, for me to hit my money metric, you can see the number of agents per launch I need to have to hit the money metric. So, yes, both. We got the money and then what actually has to happen.
Okay.
So, here's the next step. All right. Any other questions before we move on? All right. Well, good. So the last part, the fourth part of the day is implementing. Notice that big yellow highlight that I have right there.
Doesn't that mean it's done?
No, that means it's actually going to happen. Yes, we're not done yet. We have a few more minutes. In order for a 411 to show up in real life and you to be able to highlight some things, you get to do time blocking. And I found this out the hard way. For about 6 months, I said, this 411 is so dumb. I'm not getting anything done. I'm frustrated. Oh, listen to all those words. Entrepreneurial. And so my coach said, oh, fantastic. Well, why don't you send me your time block? And I said, well, what does that have to do with it? She said, Amber, if you're going to say something's important, shouldn't I see exactly that in your calendar? And it was like the light bulb went off. So if I say that I'm going to have, and we're just going to jump to it, if I say that I'm going to sign 4 listings, then I better have blocks in my schedule for at least 4 listing appointments. You see my LA? That's a listing appointment. LA, 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 LA. So time blocking is exactly that. You look at your 411 and everything that you would like to accomplish for the week, and then you pull open, for me, it's a paper calendar. And I'm going to pull open a paper calendar and I'm going to put in what I say is important to me. So let's start with the red, because that's my favorite thing to talk about. So take a look at what I have in red. What do you notice?
It's personal.
Personal.
Yeah, because honestly, family dinners and church and my boys' birthday parties are what I put in my calendar first, because everything else can work around it. What does that sound? Where did you hear that earlier? In the big rocks.
The big
Okay?
rock.
That is my family is my biggest rock. Okay. Then I use these 2 other colors. Red or pink is for what you love and it's your personal and it makes you feel good and it's happy. Okay, that's vacations and Bible study time and things like that. And you'll see at the top I have savers. That's something I like to do every morning. It's from a book called The Millionaire. Oh no. The
Miracle Morning.
Miracle Morning. I am reading the Miracle Morning for Millionaires, so forgive me. And the Miracle Morning is basically, how do I own my morning? And I own my morning by following this acronym of savers. Yet the 2 other colors are green and yellow. Green, what do you think green is?
Money.
Money.
Money. It's my favorite color. It goes with every outfit that I wear. It is what I am doing to make sure that I am making money. Now, the yellow, or some people use orange, that is things that I kind of need to do, should do, yet it's not exactly making me money. So what do you notice about the green and the yellow and the red?
You have them time blocked.
Yep. What else do you see?
There's more red, and
It's about the same.
there's a lot of red, little green.
Well, this is green. Hey, don't make me feel guilty. My legion is here.
There are also some spaces that don't have any color either.
Yeah, write this down. This is a big lesson learned for me. Don't ever time block more than 50 to 60% of your day. Don't time block more than 50 to 60% of your day, because what do you think happens?
You don't get it done.
Same schedule.
You feel like you're in a straitjacket. And if you're anything like me, you resist feeling like someone is telling you what to do. Even if it's me telling me what to do, I'm going to push away from it. Okay, so 50 to 60% of your day. Here's the other piece. Notice on Tuesday that week, what did I do all day?
Bold 100.
No, I
Oh,
wish
sorry,
it was
that's
bold
Monday.
100. No, I was actually in bold as a student. So what do you notice I did other times?
Soccer, family time.
Well, yes, that's down here, yet there's
A lot of growing yourself, personal growth.
Yep, absolutely.
Marketing and lead gen.
So the green is lead generation. So notice on Tuesday, I did not lead generate that day because I was in the bold room outside of the little call time that we had. So go over to
Coaching.
go to Thursday.
Oh, you increased it.
I increase it. On Friday, I increased it. If I don't have listing appointments, it's still green because I am lead generating again. So write this down. If you erase,
Must
you
replace.
must replace. If you erase, you must replace. And here's the fun thing. So let's say you want to take the kids to Disney. We're not in a pandemic season, and you're going to go Thursday and Friday all day. That's fine. What does Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday need to look like?
Covered up.
Heavy
Yeah.
lead gen.
A ton of green and very little
Yellow and red.
You got, well, yellow and red, yes, because we're counterbalancing. You can read about that in the one thing. Hey kids, for us to go Thursday and Friday, mommy is heads down. Monday through Wednesday, you got to work with me so Thursday and Friday can happen. Can we agree to do that? Absolutely. What else do you notice about the time block?
Coaching, role play.
The weekend is personal.
You don't have the small stuff on there.
You got it. So guess what that means?
You have another sheet of paper?
I have what really happens on another sheet. No, I'm just kidding. That means that those little things, the little rocks, they have to fit white space in my blank space.
Okay.
Because you don't block for the things that you could do, you know, truncated here and a little bit there or wherever, okay? So I don't want to overcomplicate time blocking, okay?
Right.
It is, blocking is maybe 50 to 60% of your time. You block what is important. You don't put all of your to-do items on there. Sometimes they end up being at the page or the bottom of the page or the back of the 411. And yet this is how I know I actually did my job that week. Okay, so let's talk about the flow of this. You have your 411. From your 411, you look at this week, I'm going to do this. Then you pull open your paper calendar and you actually take the items and you block time to make them happen. Personal items, business items. When you live in a calendar like this, what word do you think you get to really embrace?
Organization.
That.
Control.
Purposeful,
Control.
intentional.
Yeah, being on purpose. What else? It's a short word. 2 letters.
Time.
No, 2 letters.
Me.
Your time.
Me, yeah. Me.
I love me. That could also be an answer, and yet write this down. N-O.
Oh, I should have saw that coming.
So here is something that the agents in our organization know is they will come to my office and invariably say, hey, do you have...
No.
No, I don't yell at them, no. You have a few minutes. Can you help me with something? And I will literally say, is this something we can accomplish in 2 to 3 minutes? So I'm going to set a parameter around it. And then they're going to come in and talk quickly to the problem, and we're going to move quickly to the solution. And yet, when you live like this, does it require you to say no to many things?
Yes.
Yeah.
And how can you still be true to who you are and say no?
Well, you've got some empty spaces there. I mean, can't you say no? I don't have time right now, but if I can do it on such and such time because you've got those empty blocks.
Yep.
Letting the people know in advance that you have that schedule, and they respect that.
So here's something that you may have to come to grips with. I'm never going to be the class mom. I love the class mom and she's amazing, or he's amazing. I'm never going to hang the bulletin boards. I'm never going to coordinate the soccer team. I'm never going to, I get asked every single week, almost every single day, will you come to my market center and teach? This is the only training I'm doing in the month of June. And saying no is hard. And yet if I say yes to everyone else, who am I ultimately saying no to?
Yourself.
Yourself.
Yourself and your kids.
You got it. And more importantly, my family. So I want you to embrace no, because oftentimes do we find ourselves giving and giving and giving, and then we feel really, really empty. Yeah, I do. Here's something I want you to jot down. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. You do not have to give your reasoning. Here's something else. What do you notice about my listing appointments on my calendar?
They're 30 minutes.
Well, they're really,
an hour. I'm sorry.
That's okay. They're really about an hour, and yet they were closer to 30 minutes because I did them back to back, and you need travel time. Yet I would say, oh my goodness, fantastic. I'm so excited to meet with you. Mr. and Ms. Seller, I have Monday at 3:30. I have Thursday at 4, or Friday at 2, 3, or 4. Which one works best for you?
They don't go past 5:30.
That's another thing. I would always allow one night a week to do an evening appointment. That's it. And that's just who I am. And if people can't respect that, then I don't choose to be in business with those people.
So that works for listing, but does that work for buyers also?
So
because buyers, you got to hop right away.
No, you don't.
No.
No, you don't.
do you really though?
No, you don't.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When you hop right away, could you be setting up that relationship to run you instead of you running that transaction?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother class for a whole nother day.
I think too, to his point though, but to his point, I kind of get that because if it's like our market in the Atlanta area, stuff goes on the market in a day. So I kind of get, I can't get off work today, but I have to see it today because it could go under contract. But I still think it's like you said, that one night a week. And like if you do, I know in our office, we could put on Google, not Google, Facebook page easily to say, can anybody show this property for me at such and such a date? I'll pay $25 or whatever.
To open the door, we have an agent attending a closing, an outside agent for one of our team members. There's always solutions, and yet we don't push ourselves to come up with those solutions until we push ourselves to live inside of a time block. And you guys, I want you to hear this. This doesn't mean that everything that's on here happens. What it means is I'm making a plan for what I say is most important. And there's flexibility. So let's say you have an out-of-town buyer, and I know I have an out-of-town buyer, and I'm going to probably be with them for 2 days, all day long. Start to finish, it's never going to end. So what this allows me to do is step back and say, you know what, Monday, I'm going to do lead generation for 7 or 8 hours. And I'm going to book appointments for Tuesday and Friday and Saturday morning. And yet, if I don't have this level of planning done, what could happen?
Catastrophe. You won't achieve your goals.
Yeah, and how many of you ever get to the end of the week and think, oh my gosh, I didn't lead generate 5 minutes?
Right. You don't even know where the week went.
Yep.
What happened to this week? Okay. What questions do you have about the 411 or time blocking? Because we are coming to the end of our time together.
I just wanted to ask if you could tell me on the book that you read, the Miracle Morning for Millionaires, did you read the real estate agent version or just the regular one, or both?
So the first one is the
There's the
Miracle
million.
Morning, and that's separate than the Millionaire one. So the Miracle Morning, I read it for real estate agents because how many of you have read it? Wave. Well, this guy tells stories from the perspective of a real estate agent, and you laugh out loud because you think someone was watching me. The exact same thing. So I like the real estate one. I have not read the other one, to be honest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What else?
Yeah, I learned a few things about structuring, and I like the color coding. I did that in the past, but I think it's effective what you did, that it would definitely help me get more organized. I have been using a logbook all my life. You know, I've been working with this thing, and I have a habit of crossing things off. I color code them, but up to a point, but I cross things off. One thing operating out of a book is that out of my whole week, if I get 80% of the things done, I'm really happy, right? Because I feel it's a productive week, and then I'll carry that other 20% over to the next week and then fill in with new stuff. But definitely, I like the 411. I never knew what that meant. You know, I always call 911, but I just never used 411.
You got it. I love it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. What other, this is really a great time for ahas and takeaways. And here's a question that I'd like to ask you is, who do you get to become in order to be the person that uses a 411 and time blocks? What do we have to do internally first to make those things happen?
Believe that it works.
Did we give you some evidence today that it works?
Yep.
Yep.
What else? Hey, you know what? I don't know if he's still on. So my brother is on the call, Chris Carball, and he can probably attest to this. Chris, you can just give a thumbs up or a thumbs down or share. Was I an organized teenager in person in college?
Absolutely not. I'm sitting here thinking, how did we come from the same family? Because, you know, you have evolved into this super structured person like this. And this whole time I'm like, wow. But a lot of it definitely has sunk in, knowing you and seeing the transformation that it's made in your and Jared's life, going from being so structured with all the stuff you have going on, plus your family, plus our families and all the other stuff that we have going on together, it really makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. So what he's nicely not saying is I was a wild child sorority girl in college that didn't pick a major till my 3rd or 4th year in. So there's hope for all of us. There is hope for all of us. All right, last minute questions about the 411 or time blocking, because I have a challenge for you.
I have a question about time blocking.
Please.
So basically, I was taught with time blocking that you had to give yourself some time in between, even going down to lunch scheduled on there, which I didn't see on your 411. So
I did.
Yeah, the person that taught you is better than I am. Jared and I have been in business for 7 years, and I can count on one hand how many times we've had lunch together.
Right. No, and I don't mean lunch, like lunch out. I just mean a time so that you make time to eat, you know?
Yeah, I am always one that says, and the agents that I'm in business with, and even both coaches can share this, I would rather knock out from, 8 o'clock in the morning, really until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'm done. I don't want to do anymore. I want to be 100% mom. And so I've just always been eat as I go. And we typically meal prep and have grilled chicken and stuff. So I'm eating as I'm working. And yet for me, I've always thought if I can knock the work out, then I can leave for home a little bit earlier. So I don't do a lot of breaks.
So you said the first year you had the baby and you had 100 listings. Can you tell us how did you do that? Because I'm a mother of a baby, breastfeeding baby, and it sounds like a little difficult for me.
So I didn't get all of that. I can't explain how the baby was made. I think that's not appropriate for this. I'm just kidding. How did I balance it all? Is that what you asked?
She's asking.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she asked.
You're on mute.
Sorry, am I on mute? No. Okay. Really being organized. I don't have a better explanation for it. Is having a plan and living every single minute really on purpose. I'm not the most social person to work with because I want to get work done so I can get home to my kids. And I also took babies to listing appointments. I have done, you know, the pumping it while I'm driving a minivan with a pump attached to me. For me, the reason why I'm doing all of this is for my family and my kids and our future together. And so I can get a lot done in a really little amount of time when I'm on focus, when I'm on purpose.
If you don't follow Amber on Facebook, you should too, because you'll get a little glimpse of her family and kind of what is important and how they take vacations and the stuff that they do and the broken arms and all of those things.
I thought that's where you're going with it.
Yeah, so it's very inspirational because she does juggle a lot of balls, but absolutely does get it done. And you can tell by the way that goes. And then to watch her in business over the years and what she's doing with Bold and coaching and all of that stuff, I just kudos, girl. And it's because of this exact class that you're this successful in all of those places. So and it's not easy, right? It's simple. Right? In theory, it's simple, but it's probably not easy in its execution, which is a bold law. And we know that, and there'll be bumps in the road, but yeah.
The thing that doing a 411 and a time block will help you do is this. You will very quickly and clearly see what's a priority and what is not a priority. And it helps you make decisions that without that true north or that guidance, you wouldn't make. So here's what I'm going to ask. Angela, are you still on? Oh, yeah, she is. Okay, Angela's going to put my email address in the chat box. And here's the challenge that I have for you. Guess what is ending and a new thing is starting?
Bold.
Oh, no. And yes, sign up for Bold Pivot. June is ending and July is coming. Yeah. So you have a week to kind of get this thing together. And here's what I would like to challenge you to do. Because here's what I know. Only 20% of you will actually do it. So I can handle that amount. Is get your time block and your 411 together and email it to me and I will review it and give you feedback. Okay, and yet it has to be before July actually starts, not afterwards. All right, who's gonna take me up on that challenge? Wave at me. Okay, I love it. So you have my
Yes.
The last thing I'm going to ask you to do, and please, 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 please do this. As a KWU instructor, they request that we teach minimally throughout the year. Today is one of those days. So if you will please let KWU know that you came today and click on this website right here, KWU, or entered in KWU eval, and just take, it's literally a very, very short course survey. Can you guys give me a little thumbs up that you're going to do that for me?
Absolutely.
Only if you actually enjoyed the class. If you didn't, don't worry about it, okay?
And are we talking, this is a market center class or a regional class?
This is a market center level class.
So on the number one is that they ask you and just put market center and yeah. And the name of the course is the 411?
Yeah, time management with the 411. And I should be on the drop-down menu of instructors. It's Amber Rutherford. If you had a good class, it's Amber Rutherford. If not, it's James Shaw. All right, if everybody's copying that down, I want to thank you guys for making time today. Was this beneficial?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, good, good. It's always a good refresher for me too, to keep myself in check. So I'm happy to stay on if anyone has any additional questions. If not, thank you guys, and I look forward to receiving your sample 411 and your time block.
Okay. Thank you, Amber. Thank you.
Bye, guys. I'm going to hang around if you need me.
Okay.
So Amber, I gotta admit, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so the relationship you have with your brother and my sister kind of is like the same thing. So my sister was always a structured one, and I was kind of like going out there doing different stuff in my life. But we both succeeded, but in two different ways totally. But she succeeded 10 times more than I did because she was organized. So it's all about structure, time management. You know, I was kind of like all over the place doing a lot of different stuff. But I think definitely getting structured is important.
Well, it looks like you're well on your way.
Here we go.
Yeah,